Once again, another judge has stepped in the way of President Trump. You may go, Logan, the Supreme Court, I thought, ruled about this. But then you guys had what happened last week. They found a loophole. Well, once again, this is another loophole. And this is breaking news. When I say breaking news, I mean it. We were struggling to figure out what we were going to lead with today. And I just was like, you guys got to keep refreshing the page. It's like when you're waiting for like Ticketmaster for tickets. Because something against the Trump administration around 10 o'clock will break. And this broke, and that is the judge has come in and blocked the birthright citizenship order, even despite the Supreme Court ruling specifically on this issue, with a very nuanced approach. And look, I've said this whole situation, I'm not sure what side I land on in terms of the actual birthright citizenship portion about this. But whether President Trump has the right to do this, I think is a very different story. They figured out another loophole to put in a pause.
That's right. So this is a federal judge out of New Hampshire this time that issued a preliminary injunction. And the way that this was done was by issuing a class action certification for a class of plaintiffs, which are, in this case, infants. And one of our people on our legal team said, I wonder if it includes the unborn or if it's only born babies but that are protected by this. But when you look at what they did, it actually tracks by finding a loophole with what was brought up in the opinion by Justice Barrett, where she was arguing nationwide injunctions are trying to shortcut around rules that are already in place and have been for a long time, specifically Rule 23 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, which govern the rigorous process of certifying a class for a class action suit. That would allow a judge to offer broader relief than just the plaintiffs before the court. And that's exactly what this judge has done here. He has certified a class that will receive relief from the court. Now, here's what we don't know yet, Logan. The written opinion by this judge, he has not put out yet that goes along with this order. So we need to see that to really understand if he did something that Justice Alito was concerned about.
Right now, it's just a top-line kind of breaking news headline, if you will.
And the judge said that order and that opinion will be out later today. And what we heard from Justice Alito through his concurring opinion in his concurrence with Justice Barrett's opinion was that he did join the decision in full, but here's kind of the warning he put out. He said, putting the kibosh on universal injunctions does nothing to disrupt Rule 23's requirements. Of course, Rule 23 may permit that the certification of nationwide classes in some discrete scenarios. But district courts should not view today's decision as an invitation to certify nationwide classes without scrupulous adherence to the rigors of Rule 23. Otherwise, the universal injunction will return from the grave under the guise of nationwide class relief, and today's decision will be of little more than minor academic interest.
He almost gave them the idea.
Yeah. And he says lax enforcement of requirements for third-party standing and class certification would create a potentially significant loophole to today's decision. Federal courts should thus be vigilant against such potential abuses of these tools. I do not understand the court's decision to reflect any disagreement with these concerns, so I join its decision in full. But once again, that's the warning. And also kind of although not the full opinion of the court, in his concurrence is kind of putting the courts on notice of saying, you better follow the rules. In this specific rule, Rule 23. That's what we don't know currently about what this judge in New Hampshire has done. Has he followed that process and scrupulously adhered to the process of Rule 23 in granting the class? Because this group had already filed this lawsuit before the Supreme Court decision. However, they filed a motion to make a protected class within this lawsuit after the opinion of the Supreme Court, and that is what this judge has granted. We will see if he followed Rule 23 strongly, but I think if he didn't, it also gives the government an opportunity on an appeal to try and overturn this. It is interesting because, once again, the issue at hand is the one that is more, I would say, gray area, even on the right, as far as whether the birthright citizenship order should have even been a thing. But that, once again, is kind of the test for all of these issues that we're seeing play out of the judicial power versus executive power.
Yeah. Well, let's go to Dan, who is calling in California on line 1. Dan, you're on the air.
What is the constitutional argument for an alien versus being a U.S. citizen? And if I were to even put a finer point upon it, if a penalty has been imposed in the citizen's home country, why can't we just carry out the same sentence? I don't understand the constitutional argument.
Well, Dan, that gets a little hairy. I would say we can talk about that, but in terms of depends on obviously what country they're coming from. Why are they here? Did they seek some sort of asylum because they were unjustly given some sort of law that was very anti-American? You got to think about all of the different countries people come in from and why they may have some sort of criminal record. Doesn't always mean it would be an American criminal record, if you will. Now, of course, if we're talking about murder, we're talking about assault, all those kind of things, it's very different. But if we are talking about, religious discrimination, that's a lot of reason the ACLJ team is here. We work with those people who are seeking asylum specifically for their religious beliefs, because we know in a lot of these countries, specifically in different areas of the world, including the Middle East, sometimes that has to happen. But in terms of how someone who is a legal citizen and what you consider, I guess you said, an alien or someone who is here not legally, here illegally, how they are treated, it should be very different. However, it feels like there's a lot of crying going on when that is what happens.
Well, and Dan, the point about why couldn't the U.S. just implement some sort of sentence that occurred in another country, with all its issues that we see going on today, with the conflicts between the executive and the judges, between the Supreme Court rulings and limiting, and even the loud dissents that you see within these opinions, the United States has the best legal system in the world. Because the bedrock of that system is our Constitution. So I don't think that we would ever want to start to bring in other nations' legal systems by trying to carry out their sentences that happen there, because they're inferior systems. So I think that would be to the detriment of the United States. That should not happen. However, the situation you have is that the best remedy for that wouldn't be, in my opinion, if someone is a convicted criminal in a foreign country, you send them back to the country and let them carry that out. We wouldn't want the U.S. taxpayer to then be putting someone in our prison system that we would then have the taxpayer is the one who pays that for a crime that committed in another country. Send them back to that country and let them be dealt with there. But Dan, that would run afoul if we were to start carrying out other legal systems, due process rights, all sorts of issues that we do not want to do because of the strength of our legal system.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of that, Dan, but I do understand the question. Thank you for calling. Let's go to Michael first, who's calling in Florida. Michael, you're on the air.
Gentlemen, my question is, don't we have a layer of quote-unquote protection for the executive orders and, quite frankly, the rule of law?
Yeah, Michael, it does feel, obviously, these feel politically motivated.
Right.
They're going to feel politically motivated. Why? Because they are politically motivated. Now, that's not to say that Republicans haven't done the same thing. It's not to say that this isn't part of playing the game in Washington, D.C. It's just a bit more on Front Street right now because we've been able to see it and track it over and over and over again. It's also because President Trump has taken a lot of quick actions. So he took a lot of quick actions right when he started. And with that, you had the answers coming in from these judges very quickly. And then it became a trend. And then it became a moment for celebrity and popularity. Because if you're one of these judges that can stop one of President Trump's quote unquote, problematic bills or whatever it may be, then maybe you can become hero worshipped. So remember, ego plays a huge part of this. There are good judges. I don't want to act like every judge is a bad judge. There are specific ones who are sure that are unsavory, but there are a lot that are doing good things. We've seen some big successes recently. Even what's going on, though Massachusetts, we know what happened in Planned Parenthood. We also have an update on how we're getting involved in even more of those pro-life fights. And a lot of times, those are with judges who are at least sympathetic.
That's right. So we are now, yesterday we found out that Planned Parenthood, with the defunding issue that they took to federal district court in Massachusetts, they had asked for an extension of the temporary restraining order to last even longer because they had a scheduling conflict with one of the 9 lawyers that was on the case. So they filed a motion with the judge. The Trump administration pushed back and said, hey, why don't we do the hearing earlier? Let's not give them more time. They're the ones who brought the suit. Let's go ahead and move this up. The judge actually agreed with the Trump administration, even though this judge has issued injunctions against the president, has really been a key judge, an Obama appointee for some of the left's lawfare carrying out against the actions of the administration. Okay. But said, let's move the hearing up. The briefing schedule remains the same, and the ACLJ will be filing tomorrow with that court.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Secular program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.